Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from rainy San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Gratitude and depression cannot coexist. Gratitude and depression cannot coexist. Something one of my mentors told me years and years and years ago is that when people would come to him for counseling and would begin with saying, "I'm depressed," he would simply answer by saying, "Now, honey, who told you that?" Let that sink in for a moment. Who told you that? You ever thought about that? Has it ever occurred to you that every thought that comes into your head is not necessarily your own? You see, we are influenced by quite a bit on a daily basis, and several times a day, quite frankly. And there's theories in personality and psychology about nature, nurture, and environment, and the influences that they have upon us. Let me give you a very simple idea of what I mean when it comes to influencing. Okay? And I don't know if it started over again. It may or may not have. Yesterday it was kind of weird. Steve Collins, second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world, talking about depression and gratitude cannot coexist. Yesterday, the beginning of my video didn't come back after that live feed. They cannot coexist. And I was talking about a mentor who, when people would come to him for counseling, would say, "I'm depressed." He would say, "Well, who told you that?" And it's something to think about. So when we look at the influence of nature, nurture, and environment on personality and development and the way that we look at and perceive the world, one of the things we come to realize is that not every thought we have is our own. And many times our thoughts are largely influenced by nature, nurture, and environment. Nature, just the way that we are wired. Nurture, the way that we're raised and the influence we have and the voices in our life. And environment, those that are around us and those that surround us, and the voices of those around us. A perfect example is, from the time people were very young, most weathermen, at least in San Antonio, Texas, would begin the day when it was raining by saying, "It's terrible outside, it's going to be nasty today, oh, traffic's really bad, so it's going to be a nasty day." And people hear this all the time, other people start saying it, and then every time it rains, there's a conditioning that goes on in a lot of people's mind where they'll say, "Oh, it's nasty outside." And, you know, there are few people who actually break through and come forth and say, "It is not." Like me, I love the rain. I love the rain. Not every thought that enters your head is your own. And oh, by the way, you can choose to replace them and to insert the thoughts that you choose through affirmations, incantations, declarations, proclamations. You have the ability to put the program into the computer of your mind and download onto the heart drive of your heart. You have the ability to input that information. There's this little guy you may know, David, who slew Goliath, who said something very interesting. Psalm 119 verse 11, he said, "Your word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against you." Or paraphrase today, "I put what you've said and tucked it deep down so that I know the difference between right and wrong. I've got no excuse." We have the ability to choose to program our heart drive and to download that information on our brain, which is gazillions of terabytes of data storing material. Gratitude and depression cannot coexist. What do I mean by this? If you find yourself being attacked by depression, now hear me, I'm not talking about a clinical, diagnosed, chemical, significant imbalance. There's a definite need to address that medically. Many times we just begin to hear thoughts and go into old patterns, and I want you to understand that you can have a pattern interrupt. That pattern interrupt, get out a pad, get out a pen, and start writing, just brainstorming the things you are grateful for that you would normally take for granted. Eyes to see, ears to hear, hands to use, a mouth to speak, family, friends. Do you have a car? Do you have a phone? Do you have a job? Do you have opportunity? If you focus on and intentionally create a list of what it is that you are grateful for, and you begin meditating on, meaning looking at it over and over and over and over again, and getting into agreement with your gratitude towards that, depression begins to lift, because gratitude and depression cannot coexist. So if you find yourself going down that dark path, one of the simplest tools I've discovered to help break out of that pattern is simply to develop a list of what you are grateful for. Carry it with you. Read it throughout the day. Begin to reprogram your mind and recognize that you are not a victim of the thoughts that enter your head. You have the power to choose what you'll focus on, and what you focus on gets bigger. So what do you want to get bigger? Depression or gratitude? It's your choice. Have a great day.